Alright, we're going to start here in a minute or two. To make sure everything's good. Looks like it's pretty good so far. Should be a very interesting night. Just doing some final touches before I completely go live and you see what I'm doing. But thank you very much. Alright. Alright. Good evening. So, tonight I'm actually going to go over a program that probably the most comfortable with, one that I like the most. There are some other programs that do certain things better, but I think overall this is the best one. Definitely best bang for your buck. This is Clip Studio. Now you can do just about anything design wise in this. Raster, vector, you can paint, color, draw. I'm gonna go over some basics. Grab a pencil here. Let's see. Where's my... So, a friend requested me go over some stuff here in Clip Studio, and I'm not sure if they wanted me to do something specific or if they needed just a general idea. So we're going to keep it simple. So the thing I like about this program, you can import custom brushes from anywhere, Photoshop, whatever. It's a very good sketching tool, but just start by having some fun here. Keep it loose. So I'm not going to try and do anything fancy tonight. I'm just going to give an overview of what the program can do. So that's pretty much a pencil. So if I wanted to ink this, I'd add another layer. It's got great standard brushes. There we go. That's a standard brush that comes with the program. Some of the other ones I had picked up from other places. I really enjoy this one because, see, a number 2 brush. This, when I do any inking, this is pretty much all that I use now. Let's go up a little bit. Thicker right here. So, okay. Well, that's why I like using it a lot. Can also give you a variety of pens, mapping pen, G pen, markers, which are good for if you want to get a stiffer line, good for cross hatching. But enough about that. So another thing that I like about it is the actual painting tools it has in here. There's the one that I really enjoy. This is more of a Sargent brush, which is kind of a real brush based off of how things would react. I'm going to go light. Actually, one thing that I do want to go over that tends to get misplaced, and a lot of people don't know how to use, is layers. Actually, specifically perspective layers. So you can go here and you can create a 1 or a 2 point perspective grid. The advantage to this, let's say you take a 2 point. Now, when you use this, it gives you all your different options here. Let's take you back up underneath here. You want to make sure you don't have it set to at the editing layer, or it's going to connect this layer, everything, but it will connect all the other layers. So when you're drawing on this paper, the way I like to look at it, you can turn this layer off and it's not going to affect what you draw. So this would work just like a ruler. You can take your points, stretch them out to how you want, your horizon line. You can even take your vertical line here and shift it. Take that line here and shift it if you want. Sorry. Gives you an options. And what that does is, now you go to your drawing layer. One thing I like to do, instead of penciling and confusing myself, is each layer I will make a different color. So I will start off very basic, and then everything you draw will stick to the rulers. You don't have to constantly move your ruler now. These are just showing where your points are going to be. So it gives you an idea how it's going to lay across. I like to get a basic idea of how my perspective is going to go. And then one thing I will definitely do is over the top, that if I want to start adding different things, I will make them a different color. So you can go here and go view grid, and that kind of helps you with your lines too. So let's go with a blue. Now with the blue, we can start pinpointing where we want our windows to be, and this will keep every single thing in perspective. You see, no matter how much you try to get off of it, it will just keep all them lines nice and straight for you. And this is nice to have, instead of constantly moving the ruler around. You still have to get have the idea of how perspective works, but this saves you time. You still have to know what you're looking at, how you're looking at it, where you want your horizon line to be, where you want your vertical lines to be. You still have to have a good grasp of that, but this makes doing the job easier. And then the final thing that I will do, once I get kind of the basics of this, is I'll add one more layer. I will turn my grid off, and then I will find a third color. Let's go with something offbeat of those. Say orange. Okay. And zoom in, and I can start, or red, shaping in my windows. Let's see. This angle. Put a new window right there. One more right there. And boom. And we can even go through and for our main lines. Mm, this is just basic stuff. See, and then that's what the final kind of would be. You don't even have to pencil, you can just go straight to inks if you felt more comfortable that way. But doing it in multiple layers helps you keep track of what you've drawn and what you haven't drawn, what you want to flesh out. Now let's say I wanted to do something crazy with this perspective layer here. Let's zoom back out. We'll take our tool here so we can manipulate this. Let's raise our horizon line a little bit. Let's take our little buddy here and let's make our horizon line really high so it appears that we're looking down. Stretch these out, way out. What that does, it doesn't make everything look so scrunched up when you're drawing. So now I can take my marker, let's see, to top of the building. I wanted that to be a top of a building. Everything's going to go to it and come out towards you. This would kind of be a wall here. That way. So we have one building here, and then we have another one here. Maybe a street down here. Up for a light pole, blah blah blah, you know. But the idea is, especially when you put on the grid, you can really start to see. Okay. Now I've got this line here, the top of my building. Say I wanted to make a ledge out of this. I can come down now to another square. Boom. Give it a secondary ledge. Boom. This one right here where the ledge would actually meet the wall itself would connect right here at this junction. Boom. That gives you that visibility of a ledge. Windows will only go 2 floors down, but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The numbers will be the same here. I might get fooled, but it's still the same distance. Okay, that's how perspective works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we can start breaking those down if we wanted to, even more. Let's say we wanted to show the inside of the wall here. Come down and find you a line right through. Go right through. Okay? That way, this ledge, the window seal from the inside out, is the same. Find your ledge, go up. 1, and go up. 91, go up. That way it all stays the same distance too. All the way through. Now, to even give that nice bar feel, go back in, straight up, and it creates a little barrier. And there's your window seal for each individual room. Straight to the line. That way it all stays the same distance. May not look it, because as you get closer, things tend to look bigger. It's the trick to perspective. But mathematically, it is correct. And boom. See, then we've just created our seal there. Now, what I was talking about earlier, I got that. I can take, let's go with a bright blue. Let's make it a little thicker now. Okay. And I can go back in here. I know that this is my main ledge. Building top. Ledge to where the eave, the rim, and the building, flat building connect. Come out here. There. Down. Down. And this is where layers play nice. You can make things nice, clean, and crisp. All you want. You can zoom down this way as far as we want, just to get our point across. Now here we can take our grid off because we've already done the hard grid work. And we can start shaping in our window now. That wedge stops right there. There. This work does tend to get tedious, but this is the work that will make or break you. Whether you're a comic book artist, a painter, it doesn't matter. It's the grind work. It's the work that nobody wants to do, but when you see it and it's done right, it can make all the difference in the world. Especially if you do a lot of settings. Painting street signs, painting buildings. You gotta know perspective. This is just how to use the perspective grid to make your job a little easier. It's not cheating, because you still gotta know how it works, how perspective works. But we all look for tools to make our jobs easier. I don't have to constantly move the ruler around. Or let's say it shifts and now all of a sudden my perspective points are all off. And you have to draw something all over again. Nobody likes doing that. Let's get this little lip edge over. Victor milling. And presto, see? And maybe my math's a little bit off on the squares and the gridding, but you get the idea. You got to do the work in there. And that's how perspective grids can help out a lot. Let's say I wanted to make this wall come down just a little bit, so it's got a little bit of a leap. Blah, blah, blah. This comes down to here because you wouldn't even see that. And it shoots out that way. Makes it nice and easy. Alright. And one example of how perspective can, what I was talking about with paintings, is one I've been working on. So, kind of dabbing with this lately. A lot of perspective work. And I'm using these arrows. Using a lot of, it's simple perspective. But once I add the main figure, I'll bring up the opacity so you guys can see it a little bit more of what I sketched. The arrows from the building here and edges all lead you to the girl in the dress. So perspective in a building can be a tool for storytelling itself. And that's very effective. You always want to have your lines or figures in the thing lead to your main focal point. Especially how this dress kind of just flows in right up to her. Then you got the lines from the buildings all bringing you right to her. Even this little sign here, boom, right to the head. Okay, it just looks like a street sign, but it actually has purpose, the way everything's angled. It seems very, very simple, but it's very easy to mess up. A lot of people don't think about overall design. Everything leads you to something. I want your eye to go to her. These curves all take you pretty much to her. And you can see I did pretty much basic building blocks here. Same thing, I did a grid. I put perspective rulers in after I sketched everything. And then I lined it up and just started painting. And honestly, I think I'm going to go back to having fun with this one. What was I coloring on? Which layer was I painting on? That's interesting. Even I forget what I'm doing sometimes. Okay, I was painting on this layer. Oh, okay. Let's see. Go back to our gray here. I'm gonna have some fun. Where's my Sargent brush? I love this brush. It's very textured. Gives you everything that you kind of need. Let's see. So let's actually sample this light right here. Make our brush a little bit smaller, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Drop that down. I don't need to see it so much. Just kind of idea where it's at. Pay attention to my wedges, and I kind of always paint over. Not mean to do that. I meant to go to this layer. Here's another reason why it's good to lock your layers. Yeah, see. Hold on a second. Okay, there we go. Alright, there we go. Bring that back down a little bit. Okay, there we go. That's why it's always good to lock your layers. Yeah, so I'll start the edge, watching my edges. Make it just a little bit bigger. There we go. I'm starting to lighten up from the name. There we go. Let's see. That's looking pretty good. Let's smudge that out a little bit though. Some dark texturing up in there. Not many things look very flat these days, but I want to keep separation. Maybe we'll come through later and add some more outside texture. We had another sign right there, so we'll go back to our light gray. Bring it back down. Shape out our edges here. Nice and loose, not too much pressure, so don't get too flat of a color going. See how our edges look, not bad. Starting to accomplish what we want. Go back to our dark color. You don't want to make this ledge up here too dark, because in this spot right here would kind of blend in there. It's a little bit further ahead, so we want a little bit of white shining on it. A little bit smaller so we can get this under edge lip here going, just to create that separation, a shadow. And so far with this, I am trying to work on values. Values make or break a drawing, plain and simple. Whether you're doing it in pencil, painting it, ink, it doesn't matter. Value control can make or break an image. So if you can do an image in black and white and make it pop in different levels, you got something good going. You know? No, I think I know what this needs. A little bit of white breakup. Let's go find our wash. There we go. I like that. So let's go with this color. That thing is huge. So we're going to just barely touch it in there. Barely touch it in there. Let's smudge it in there. Give it a... It's almost like a cloud brush. Maybe not. Let's try this one. That's the other thing is you can try different things, have fun. You can always paint back over it, or you can hit undo. I'd rather not hit undo. It kind of keeps you honest. Teaches you how to solve problems when you're painting or inking or whatever else you're doing. Basic coloring doesn't matter. When you're drawing on traditional feel, you don't get the opportunity to hit an undo. This kind of keeps it real. Let's see. Okay, I'm liking that. So let's make this a little bit smaller and give it some texture up in here. Go back through and we'll make this more solid. There we go. That definitely works. But yeah, this is why I like this program. You can even go back over here. Let's turn our perspective layer off. Okay. Let's add another layer. Like I said, you can go back and you have markers. Felt tip. We'll make you big. Flat markers. You can build up your colors. Another thing that's nice. Say you got a shadowy area, but you want to smooth it out. You can take here and you can go to just your blur tool, even, and just soften these edges, and it gives it a nice airbrush feel. And say you wanted to add another color on top of that. Let's just take a gray. We'll just take a gray. Okay. I'm not trying to do anything fancy here. Maybe add a little bit of gray up in there. And go back. Take your blur tool again. Just blur that gray into it. It almost gives you kind of a painterly feel. Maybe a little bit bigger. And you can adjust all of these to how strong they are, to how soft they are. You can take your blend tool here, start stretching that out if that's what you wanted to do. And remember, when you use a blend tool, just like in real life, where you start is the color that you're going to be affecting. Okay? You started here in the white and blend into your color, you're going to go white into the color. Just the opposite. You start over here, you're pulling this. You're pulling this out. Okay? So, you got to keep that in mind and how you want your value to go. From a light to a dark. Light to a dark. A little bit more lighter. And then once again, you can go back through and take a blur and just smooth it out. It looks like a nice smooth transition. I've actually used this quite a bit. I've gone through, taken a skin tone on an area, locked it in. Yeah, Art. I'm just going over on the basics on how to use some of this programming. I've actually done this, and then I'll go through, I'll take a white sometimes, a little bit in there, and then just blur the heck out of it, and it looks shadowed. I'll go back to the one that I was painting before. Here I'm actually trying to use the brushes the way they're supposed to be used. So, once again, we've got this front area here. So we want to make pop, so we're going to go back to that gray. Go back to my Sargent brushes. Ah, there you are. Find my edges here. A little bit higher. Bigger brush. And then in there. And then in there. Just missed it. Remember, I can always go back over different areas, do different things. I want to make sure my edges look as close as possible. Right. So I do have that nice little under edge right there. I want to keep it consistent with that gray. So we'll go back to small. Barely touching the brush to it. So I don't want to go too thick yet. Always easier to build up and go thick later than to go thin. There we go. And that creates that nice little edge there. Gives it some separation. This looks a little funny right here. So we're going to just touch that out. Make it solid. There we go. That brings it out. Like I said, once again, you got this nice big light area that pulls you to the main thing of what I've drawn. We'll bring that back up so you can see. That's all my underdrawing. Gives me the idea of what I want, where I want it. Everything in the background pulls you to her. Now what's really cool, this is something I'm going to have some fun with here. I'm going to try this tonight. Okay. On this paint. Let's go over here to our text. Okay. We're going to add some text here. Just something. Okay. Let's make this white. You white. Okay. So we'll just add a little something here. Let's see. take this, we can turn it. Make sure let's make it a little smaller. We can stretch it out. Actually, I'll drag it down here to the window. Make sure our lining's up just right. Get a little bigger. Back down. Okay. Change the property of this. Okay, convert layer. Let me drag this back away so you can see what I'm doing. When you go to convert layer right now, it's left. Raster, okay, that's what we want. Okay. So, back to that. We will grab our brush here. And we're going to. What do you mean, no? Okay, what do you mean, no? Okay, now it's a text layer. Okay, we want it as a raster layer. Oh, okay, now we can edit this how we want to. So we can take our brush. We can paint over this. So it doesn't interfere with the dress. Again, let's take this and put it back over top. Okay. That. Now we can take, let's add some texture on top of it. Let's dirty this up a little bit. Let's say, with a little bit of gray into it. We'll work some of this into it. Just kind of, we can just go with this color, make it blend to the background. Makes it look like it's almost in part of the glass and just kind of part of the image, not so much separated from everything. And then once we start to go in here and do our dress, we can go back to our major brush. Let's make this nice and big. Right over it. And oh, still gotta go back through and shape our window out, but it'll work. And that's how you don't even have to draw in the text anymore. You can just write in some text and add it in later, or however you want to break it up, you know, and make it fit with the image that you're doing. Like that. You can always come back in here and start. Okay, there you are. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about putting some lightning into where the shadow's going to be, because I'm going to come back in over with the dark anyway. So I'm just worried about creating my nice, decent edge. Let's get that a little bit more. There we go. Now we can come back in. We'll pick our nice dark color. We'll go a little smaller. Give this a little bit of push. Should help create our edge right there. And then we can still go back and break some things up, keep it loose. The more and more you do it, the more and more you can shape things out. But as far as Clip Studio goes, like I said, I love the program. If there's any individual questions, I would love to know. I mean, you can work in Vector, which is really good for designing it. As far as saving things in PNG for t-shirts, everything. You can import images onto there so that you can go back over later and ink up and tighten up the image itself and then save it for a PNG. I've done many of inks on it where people have drawn the originals in pencil. I put them in here, put a new layer, and just ink on top of it like I would a light board. It's easier to use than Photoshop. It can do a lot of the same stuff. And it's a whole lot cheaper. I mean, there's a couple different versions. This one's a little bit older, but I think they still have a version that's a one-time pay. So it's kind of useful. There are still programs out there that are free that can still do a lot of this, but not quite as good. Anyway, let me know if there's anything specific you want to learn or want to know on how to use it, and I will do my best to accommodate. All right, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you.